I've used a lot of meal services, but Hungry Root truly stands out because it's built around the way real families live and eat. They don't just send meal kits. They personalize your grocery cart and meal plan based on your preferences and dietary goals. All I had to do was take a short quiz, and right away, their smart cart technology started building a cart that fit how we eat. Now, each week feels easier, like someone else is doing the thinking for me. I've been focused on cleaner eating lately, and I love that Hungry Root keeps out over 200 additives, including things like high fructose corn syrup and artificial sweeteners. Their meats are hormone and antibiotic free, and the produce options include organic and non GMO picks. They also stock brands I already trust, like Oatly, Vital Farms, and Harmless Harvest. One of our favorite meals has been the teriyaki salmon with green beans, light, flavorful, and done in 12 minutes flat. Plus, I've noticed we waste less food, spend less time shopping, and even save money by skipping those impulse grocery buys. Take advantage of this exclusive offer. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/Dr. Meg and use code Dr. Meg. That's hungryroot.com/Dr. Meg. Code Dr. Meg to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. hungryroot.com/Dr. Meg. Code Dr. Meg. We often hear cautionary stories about online dangers, but today we hear from someone who lived it. It's scary, but you need to listen to it, parents. Harrison Haynes was just 12 years old when he was groomed by a stranger he met through online gaming. Harrison, thanks for having the bravery to come on and talk about your experience. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Now, early on when you were 12, you were groomed online and you're only 12. Can you talk to us about the beginning of the journey, what happened, what it felt like, and bring us into your life, into your heart and mind then, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that chapter of my life was just like any other kid my age. I was going into middle school, struggling to make friends in a new environment. It's a little bit quiet, anxious, kind of the funny kid. But I really started struggling hard with depression and anxiety. I didn't know where to turn. Making friends was such a struggle for me.
Mm-hmm.
I turned to the only place that I really knew that I could feel comfortable, that I could feel like myself.
Mm-hmm.
I turned to online games.
Did your parents know you were depressed or anxious, or did you hide it?
I think I did a really good job of masking it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I was kind of the funny kid, so I could kind of get away with those jokes and masking that behavior.
Mm-hmm. What did it feel like to be depressed?
It was really isolating. It felt really lonely, and it felt like nobody saw me.
Mm-hmm. Invisible.
Yeah.
Yep. So you went to gaming, and why did you feel that was a good place for you to start? Did you feel like I can find some people that like to do what I do? Was your intention to make friends, just have fun?
Yeah, I mean, it was so long ago at this point, but I think a large part of my motivation was it was fun. It was fun, and I could feel like I could be myself. Maybe I would meet people that would like who I was and would laugh at my jokes, and maybe we could even be friends.
Mm-hmm. Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Okay. So you did make friends, and where were these friends? I've never gamed online, and I'm not a social media expert. But when you communicate with people or you game, do you know who they are and where they live? And is it trustworthy?
No, you absolutely don't. As was the case for me when I was on Xbox at 12 years old. I met a couple of friends in a group, but I really connected with one person who we will call Adam for the remainder of the podcast.
Okay.
And I had no idea where he lived.
Now, when you say connected, how do you connect with somebody through gaming? And what happens with that relationship after the gaming that day stops? Anything?
Yeah, it's just a normal friendship. For most people, you meet in some sort of lobby waiting for a game to start, or you interact with each other in the game and the proximity chat is on and you walk by their character and you say, hey, you ask questions about in-game things or you ask how their day is. And it was just like that,
Okay.
normal.
Okay. So he was pretty nice. Could you trust who he really was? I mean, is it possible for somebody like me to come on and pretend I'm 13 years old and I can help you?
I think the difficult part with asking if you can trust someone is that oftentimes because the games are so fast
Mhm.
and you're not playing with these people for so long, it's not really a question that's in your mind. It's, here are other people playing the game. Them playing makes me playing possible.
Yeah. Yeah. So how long did this friendship go on before this Adam was starting to groom you?
Yeah. It was about 6 months of a really healthy and normal friendship. In a lot of ways, I felt like it was more of a mentorship relationship.
Hmm.
He was 19 at the time. I was 12. And I was experiencing a lot of difficulty in transition from elementary school to middle school. I was having questions about myself and the world around me. And I just felt like he was a really safe person to go to. He was unidentifiable, and as was I. He was a voice in the void, really. And it was like anything I said to him was private, was confidential. And even if he didn't understand, he could listen.
Hmm. So it's kind of like a mini mentor and a mini counselor, and they're a safe person. And for somebody your age, that feels really good.
Yeah.
It feels really good, and it just draws you in. So then what happened? Did you notice his behavior starting to change, or how did he begin to sort of pull you towards him?
Mhm. Yeah, he started struggling with his own mental health challenges. I eventually got a smartphone, and when he started struggling a lot, he asked if I could have his Xbox app like username so we could message while we weren't on the game.
Okay.
Um, Eventually, he asked for my phone number as he began really struggling with mental health challenges. He started self harming. He was talking about something I'd never heard of called suicide,
Hmm.
and I wasn't sure how to help him, but I knew that just being there for him was enough. And it seemed like it was working.
Do you think he was telling you the truth?
I get asked that question a lot. Um, parts of me, parts of me think, yeah, I think he really was struggling in a lot of ways. Do I think that he was probably using that and weaponizing that against me still? Yeah. But the behavior that he was describing and the pictures of his self harm that he was showing me,
Okay.
they felt too real
Hmm.
for it to just be some sort of elaborate scheme.
Okay. And could you in any way recognize how inappropriate it was for a 19-year-old to be leaning on a 12-year-old? Or did it just go by you because it felt so good that he wanted to confide in you?
I think it felt natural
Mhm.
and it was like I was returning the favor. You're often there for the people that you care about.
Mhm.
And for me and for him, he was my friend.
Mhm.
And he was there for me for so long. And you think, that's pretty inappropriate. But after 6 months of a healthy, seemingly normal friendship,
Mhm.
it almost feels like the right thing to do.
Mhm.
Looking back, it's absolutely appalling.
Mhm.
But, in the moment, it was the right thing to do.
Well, when you're a kid, and I think one of the thing that parents fail to realize, with good intention, is that a 12-year-old, 14-year-old, 16-year-old does not have the ability to think like a 19 or 20-year-old.
Yeah.
And we assume, well, our kid's a good kid, 7th grade, their grades are good. I can trust my kid. Gaming's not going to be a problem, but you can't. And many parents believe that their kid is so special they can handle it. And I think our message is no. Did your parents have any idea what was going on?
No,
Okay.
absolutely not.
Okay.
And that was the challenge is I even remember reflecting on this chapter in my life story with my parents before we went public about my story. They even mentioned that there was one day where a community officer, like somewhere between a police officer and a social worker, came in to give my mom's wine club, like a little lecture on digital safety,
Mm.
while I was likely in the next room playing games with an internet
Wow.
stranger. And it flew right over her head. And this wasn't just exclusive to my parents. This is the story of so many of me and my peers.
And how many parents allow their 12, 13, 16-year-old son to go into his room and close the door and do whatever he's going to do for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours and think, oh, it's okay. He's going to be okay. Talk
Mhm.
to us about the grooming process and how you and how everything worked itself out and what it was like actually being sexually groomed.
Yeah, it was really hard because for me, I didn't realize what was happening.
Sure.
You can look back and say, oh, you see the steps and stages, but it's only after you have the full picture that you can put it together.
Hmm.
It really started with assuming it was an elaborate scheme, that he saw a vulnerable and isolated teenager or preteen even who was looking for friendship or mentorship that drew out the relationship. And eventually, once I had a strong connection, he flipped the roles. There was a role reversal. And now I'm the one who's supporting him.
Is
He's
that common in grooming?
absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Creating a strong relationship with your victim is textbook.
Hmm. But with a role reversal, is that
Mhm.
textbook where
Yeah.
I need you, kind of like an abuser.
Mhm.
Somebody will beat up. If a husband beats his wife, I need you, you can't go anywhere. I love you so much, that's why I'm beating you. Is so
Yeah.
twisted and bizarre. So, what was the next step? So, when did you meet?
We never physically met.
Okay.
Um, so that was the really beautiful thing, is that I was one of the lucky ones.
Mm-hmm.
Our our friendship and that mentorship that we had, that role reversal, it came along, and I was continuing to support him as he started masking his grooming behaviors as mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
So it got worse and worse. And eventually I started struggling with my own questions about identity, and I felt like he was a safe person to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
And he really used that and weaponized those questions that I had in myself to
Mm-hmm.
start sharing things like more of his self-harm videos and images.
Oh, wow.
Um, he would send me links and videos to pornographic content online so I could discover my sexuality for myself.
Okay.
And he would even begin slipping in sexually suggestive pictures of himself.
Oh, my. Mm-hmm. What did you think at that time as a 12-year-old? Did you think, well, this is just part of the way things go? Or did something inside of you go, wait a minute, this feels weird?
He was really masterful in the way that he fed me this content because, as you know, pornography is enticing, it's addictive. And,
Yeah,
and as a 12, 13-year-old boy, this is hijacking all of my brain chemistry. This
sure.
is hijacking my body and so much of my spirituality. And I didn't really know what to do. So when I pulled back and I started engaging with my family more or friends in my community, it seemed like he weaponized his mental illness again to draw me back in.
Okay.
Hey, Harrison, I'm thinking about taking my life tonight. I
Oh,
want to talk
wow.
to you,
Talk to,
or I'm
yeah.
I'm hurting myself again. I need your support.
Mm-hmm.
And so the more and more I was getting involved with community, the more those kind of hooks were
Yeah.
being
So,
tossed into.
so the more you pulled away, the more desperate he became and became
Mhm.
more manipulative. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He hooked my empathy.
And then talk to us about the pinnacle and when things got the worse they were and you realized I need to pull out of here. How did that happen? What was the
Mhm.
worst time and what was it that made you realize or helped you get out of that?
Yeah. Well, I think it starts with the important question of my sexuality. I really liked this girl at school. I thought she was beautiful. She was so kind. She was so sweet. And I'm in the locker room listening to conversations from other guys, and they're talking about the things that they're doing with the girls that they care about or the things that they're seeing online that they like. And I just didn't really resonate with that.
Mhm.
Um, I didn't like men, but I didn't like women either. And I felt
Mhm.
like, based on what I knew, you only had two choices, right?
Right.
There was no in between,
Mhm.
and there was definitely none.
Right.
And that was kind of me. I was feeling like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So there was really a utility in the content that he was sending me.
Mm-hmm.
So I had my own discovery that I was trying to experience.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it really got me into a place where I was consuming porn pretty regularly to try to fix my broken sense of sexuality so I could be something for somebody.
Right.
And I really wanted to be something for her,
Right.
but I couldn't, and that wasn't who I was. So it really culminated when he would send me so much content throughout the day. He would send me it at school. He would send me it when I got home, or if I was thinking about going to a sports practice or something like that. It got really bad once the suicide and self-harm threats peaked.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the final night, I was so fed up with his behavior. I realized that the porn wasn't doing anything for me. I still wasn't making friends at school. Me and this girl were still talking, but things really weren't working out for us. And so I'm so frustrated. Like, my mentor, my friend, it seems like he's continuing to take advantage of me.
Yeah.
So I'm sick of hearing from him. And he's calling me in the middle of the night. I go get my phone, I pick it up, and he's threatening to take his life.
Oh, gosh.
And
you're
there's one thing that'll stop
yeah,
you too.
12 or 13-year-old kid can't handle that. I mean,
No.
you believe, oh my gosh, if I don't sit here and talk to you, you're going to be dead in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's
And that's
horrible.
going to be my fault.
Yeah. Did you ever think at any point, I'm in over my head, I need to talk to an adult, a teacher, a counselor, your mother, anybody to help you?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this was a running thought through my head. And I think the hardest part was that he used the pornography as a wall around me and my community. If I spoke to a trusted adult, if I had one, then I would expose the kinds of content that I was consuming, the kinds of things he was sending me. And that would,
Blackmail.
Yeah, it was blackmail,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
It was embarrassing.
Yeah.
I wanted to feel normal like every other person and every other guy. I really wanted to like this girl, and I was fighting for her and in ways that were embarrassing for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, you were a normal guy. You had a sick person sort of attached to you like a leech, sucking the energy and life out of you and making you feel like you're crazy. So you get to the point, this is awful. I can't stand this guy. Maybe he's manipulating me. I feel horrible. What did you do?
So all that night, he's calling me and telling me he's going to take his life. I had never sent him a sexually explicit or suggestive image at all. I hadn't shown him my body.
Good for
but
you.
I was continuing to, it was a challenge for sure. Because I knew that eventually, if I didn't do it, that he would take his life.
Yeah.
Or he would continue to harm, and that would be my fault.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to do it, but I felt like I almost had to.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I didn't.
Yeah.
But he's telling me he's going to do it. He's going to take his life. And I started like yelling and kind of crying, and I didn't know what to feel. But my parents overheard me in the next room, and they came in and they took my phone that night. And they went through my messages as any parent would when their kids on their phone at past midnight.
Right.
And that conversation the next morning was a huge challenge. And I didn't know if he took his life.
Yeah. What was the conversation like with your parents?
Yeah, it was really hard. It was fraught with confusion.
Were you afraid they were going to come down hard on you?
Absolutely. I was so afraid of being in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the last thing you needed right then. When you really need somebody to listen to you and understand and to realize that at that age, you're a victim. I mean, you are truly a victim, because at that age, you're so confused and you're looking for so much, and you feel responsible for everything that's happening around you. Everything, if your mother's flowers die, you're responsible. I mean, you're really, So how did that conversation go, and what was the outcome?
It was a very hard conversation. My parents went through our messages. They were really confused. I think they thought the worst. Had they met up? Had he done anything to my son? Some stuff like that, which luckily wasn't true.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually ended up calling him. I wasn't sure if he was dead or not.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't sleep that whole night because there were parts of that conversation I'm not sure appropriate for this podcast, and things that he was talking about doing to himself with firearms and such.
Mm.
And so I didn't know if he made it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that conversation, my parents decided that we're going to call him together as
Oh,
a family. And he was awake and he was eating cereal, talking to our family, like sitting there with the three of us.
of course, yeah.
And he was pretending like it was completely normal.
Mm-hmm.
He eventually said he was sorry, but I don't think he really knew what he was sorry about.
No.
And we decided to take police action.
Good. Some days, parenting feels like chasing moments that never quite land. You ask a question, they shrug. You try again, they look at their screen. And you wonder, why is this so hard? That's why I love FamGabs. It's a 70-card deck created by a child therapist who spent 16 years working directly with families, helping parents and kids break through the awkward one-word answers and really connect. The questions are open-ended, thoughtfully chosen, and designed to get your child talking and keep the conversation going. There are even bonus cards just for parents to help you build your confidence in your connection toolbox. If you've ever wished for a better way to understand your child or just to have more meaningful conversations as a family, FamGabs is such a gift. Search FamGabs on Amazon and use promo code Dr. Meg Pod during checkout to get 10% off your order. That's FAMGABS on Amazon. Use promo code Dr. Meg Pod and get 10% off your order. I've had so many parents say, Dr. Meg, my child is bright, but they're struggling in school and I don't know what to do. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. And that's why I'm so excited to share K-12 powered schools with you. K-12 offers tuition-free, accredited online public education for kids K through 12. These programs let kids learn at their own pace with built-in flexibility that supports different learning styles and family needs. And unlike homeschooling, K-12 provides certified teachers who guide your child's education online. The lessons are engaging, the technology is hands-on, and your child gets real opportunities to connect with clubs, extracurriculars, and even in-person events. As a mom, grandmother, and a pediatrician, I know how powerful it is when education meets your child's needs instead of the other way around. So if you're looking for something different, something better, visit k12.com/Dr. Meg to find a tuition-free K-12 powered school near you and enroll today. That's k12.com/DRMEG. Over the years, I've seen growing concern in the medical world over what we're putting into and onto our bodies. Harsh chemicals, synthetic additives, they're in everything. And that's why I've started paying much closer attention to what's in my beauty products and why I've fallen in love with Thrive Cosmetics. Their formulas are 100% vegan, cruelty-free, and made without parabens or sulfates. I keep my makeup routine simple and stick to the essentials, so I love their award-winning Liquid Lash Extensions mascara. This isn't just any mascara. It's powered by flake-free tubing technology for a lash extension look. It's sweat-proof and water-resistant, dermatologist and ophthalmologist tested, and safe for sensitive eyes. My favorite part, with every product you purchase, they donate to help a woman thrive. It's not just a tagline. They live this out all year long. So not only am I doing something great for my skin, I'm helping another woman thrive. Get 10% off your first order at thrivecosmetics.com/Dr. Meg. That's thrivecosmetics.com/DRMEG. So that must have been really hard for you. Were your parents mad at you? Were they sympathetic? Were they mad at him? Were they everything?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really clear not to blame my parents for any of the the stuff that we went through, because it's really our story together. Um, they were upset. It definitely felt like they were angry at first. I think I was confused. It just wasn't a pleasant thing for any of
Oh,
us.
yeah,
It was
they're terrible.
awkward. It was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a mess.
When you look back at that, how important was that conversation?
Those ones that I wish I wasn't the one telling this story, because it's awkward, it's weird, it's uncomfortable, it's strange. That's that particular moment for me and my family, looking my mom and my dad in the face and saying, like, this is something that's been happening for over a year and a half, was unreal. It didn't even feel real. But I think that was a really pivotal moment for us as a family.
Well, in a way, you're a 12, 13-year-old kid. It's like a part of you is taken out of your body and exposed and manipulated and everything. And, that's a hard one for kids to grapple with. And it's a hard one for parents as well. So, let's talk about, so how did it finally ended? He left you alone. Did your parents threaten to, you took him, you pressed charges against him, correct?
Yeah. So my parents kind of pulled me out of the situation and they took police action. We lived in separate states, and this is where the policy conversation comes in, because of the challenges with the legal patchwork that is our law and policy. He didn't actually violate any laws. He sent me sexually suggestive content and not explicit content. He sent me links to videos. He didn't send me videos. He threatened himself over the phone. He didn't do it over text. And so he was really intelligent about the way that he was abusing me. And that's why I don't actually use his real name,
right?
Because he was never prosecuted. My parents told me for my own safety that he was charged and that he was in jail. But years later, I saw his profile on Instagram, and he was active. And I mean, I was like 16 at the time. I ended up getting plugged into a church community, and my life was really continuing, and I was growing, and it was something I hadn't thought about. And I saw his post, and I was like, what in the world? Like, I just didn't understand.
Was part of you wanting to out him on social media?
I really struggle with how I relate to him now, years and years later. Like, this isn't something I think about really much anymore at all. But it's a huge part of my life. It really changed the way that I cope with pain. I'm 21 years old. I'm engaged to be married, and I still struggle with pornography. I'm part of a church community, and I still struggle with, falling into content to cope. All sorts of, I fall into the scroll hole a lot. And those things that he taught me and that I was taught during that time really, really still challenge the way that I experience the world around me. I don't think I'm angry. I think I realized that he was troubled in a lot of ways. And he was also a product of the digital age, because the digital age doesn't just forge victims, it also forges predators too. Right. And they're often both.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a sad, sick cycle. It's you have one person who's ill and getting more ill by the moment by continuing this. And then they do this to another person, and then another person. Many people, unlike you, go on to be perpetrators. So you're doing well now. And I really want to give you a lot of praise for being so honest, because that's what's going to set you free from all of this. And with your fiance is not that girl that you wanted to date in sixth grade.
No, but that girl actually did just get married, and I that makes me happy.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about prevention and what you're doing now, very specifically, because there are a lot of parents listening out there who are going, oh, this is absolutely horrible. What do I do? Am I going to miss this in my kid? Talk to those parents.
One of the first things that I do when I engage with parents is remind them that folks my age are inheritors of the digital age. We are experts. We are digital natives, as some of us have been called. And I want to remind parents, as a digital native, question your own relationship with technology before you ever start with your kids,
Mm-hmm.
because they see you, they're following in your footsteps. If you provide a path for them, they will follow it.
Mm-hmm.
So if they see you working from home for 11 hours a day, checking email sporadically while you're watching television and scrolling through Facebook, they're going to emulate your behavior
Mm-hmm.
because they trust you, they love you, they care about you. And if you love them, you'll adjust your behavior based on how you want to see them flourish.
Mm-hmm. So how does that, because a lot of parents work from home now, how
Yeah.
does that parent who's working 10, 11 hours, 8 hours, doesn't matter, at home,
Mm-hmm.
what does that person do to encourage their kid? Or what patterns should they establish that will keep their kids out of getting into trouble?
Yeah. It's hard to say because I'm not a parent, but I do work from home. I'm a student while I'm working in policy, and I've started my own research nonprofit. And so I absolutely get what it looks like to sit behind your desk for way too long. But I don't have kids, and so I'm not an expert. But what I will say is that my generation and the generations after me have been given 6x3 babysitters.
Mm-hmm.
They're about this big and they sit in our pockets.
Mm-hmm.
Um, our system is broken.
Mm-hmm.
Parents are working from home. No one can afford to have anyone watch us, and they give us technology to occupy us, to keep us safe,
Mm-hmm.
to monitor our movement and our behavior. But you've also given us access to some of the most incredible and wonderful connections we have access to, and also some of the darkest, scariest material that has ever been created by human beings.
And is it fair to say any child can fall into that darkness, or they're, I mean, or they're only personality types?
No, I think everybody can fall into it. And I think it looks different for everybody, whether it's my story with online grooming, or more and more recently the 15-second content surge like you see on TikTok or YouTube or Instagram Reels, with people experiencing all sorts of things: addiction to social media, body dysmorphia, self-harm or suicide, or just feeling stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Like their lives are not in their control anymore.
Mm-hmm. So talk about how we empower youth.
Mm-hmm.
Can we? Or are they too young?
Yeah. What do you mean by empower?
How could somebody have come along to you at 12 or 13 and said, before this happened, you're in charge. You can take control of what you see and what you don't see, of what you hear and what you don't hear. And here's how to stay away from this and go into this. So do we need to teach our kids anything, or do parents just need to take charge?
It's a hard question. I could tackle it from 100 different angles, and I want to. But I think the biggest thing is that internet harm isn't going away.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not. I've been working in policy for over a year. I live 2 hours from DC, and I'm there way too much, talking to folks in Congress and their staff about how we can adjust policy to keep people safe online, whether that's through algorithms or age verification on social media, changing the laws in different states for how porn can be accessed for teenagers, and creating systems to guard people from harm. But there's still holes all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
I think parents having conversations early with kids about harm that's online, whether that's grooming or more likely the harm of algorithms and short form content and things like that,
Okay.
is super important. Avoiding tough topics won't give your kids the resources they need to navigate the digital world safely. It will feel like the conversation hasn't happened and that they're safe. They don't know about porn.
Mm-hmm.
Likely they've already seen it.
Right.
The average age of exposure is 11, and it's even younger for boys. It's like 9 or 10.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about my family members that are that young, and I couldn't even imagine, but statistically speaking, it's already likely.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so disturbing. It's so disturbing to parents that we want to just turn away and go, no, not my kid. We can't afford to do that. So you launched your own research project called Digitally Intentional, where people are choosing to give up smartphones. Can you talk to us about that movement? Is it gaining ground?
Yeah, absolutely. When I went away to university for counseling school, I decided that I was going to take on a really big challenge. because of all those different ways that I coped and experienced the world around me through technology, I decided I'm giving up my smartphone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do something crazy. I'm leaving it behind. So I gave it up in exchange for the Light Phone 2. This is my phone. This is my dumb phone.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went away to university and did that for 2 years. When I got my policy job, it was definitely a challenge to have a professional life and an academic life and a good social life without a smartphone.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually I went back. But I regretted it immediately.
Really? So what happened to you? What did it feel like when you gave up your smartphone? I would think I would first go, wait a minute.
Yeah.
But after a while, what did it feel like? Did you feel different?
Yeah. Well, now that I've gone to the dumb phone on 2 separate occasions, I think it feels different both times. But the first time it was really hard. I was reaching for my phone in my pocket to scroll on something, and then I realized, all I have are texts and like alarms and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and I have nothing to look at.
Right.
Eventually I realized that these moments of silence that my generation has filled with content were actually doors to introspection.
Mm-hmm.
They were doors to prayer.
Mm-hmm.
They were different ways that I could interact with the people around me. And it seemed like everybody was ready to kind of break out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Even just riding the bus, I remember this one particular experience where it was like one of the first days that I didn't have a smartphone and I didn't know what stop I was supposed to get off on. And so I asked this guy next to me, I'm like, hey, what stop is this? And he lit up. Like he was stuck on his phone and he lit up. He was just so ready to talk to somebody.
Wow.
And I feel like that's definitely just a microcosm of my generation and what we've experienced.
Yeah. Yeah. So what can we do? What can parents do? So you're fighting the government, you're fighting tech companies, you're doing the big stuff. So what can parents, what are some practical tools that you can give parents to keep their kids away from danger as much as they can keep it away?
That's a big question. It's so hard because the corporate machine has given us the only devices to navigate the world around us.
Mm-hmm.
They've also packed addictive harm inside of that box
Mm-hmm.
and said you need it to live, but also it's going to make you miserable. So figure it out on your own. I would say create as much space as you can between devices and prioritize what matters most to you and your family.
Mm-hmm.
If what matters most to you and your family are family trips or day-to-day life or, raising happy, healthy kids, question the use of technology in your home. I'm not saying that you have to get rid of your TV and your Xbox,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe you could play it all together.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be in a bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no right age for a family to give their kids smartphones.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's a right age.
Well, men who are hooked on pornography are 50 years old and, maybe they sit in their office and they watch, they look at pornography. This is what I hear. I don't want to give my kid a cell phone, but everybody has one and I don't want them to feel like an outsider. What would you say to that parent?
There's been a lot of different community groups that are forming around the space. Some different groups have called themselves pods, like groups of parents that are all agreeing and creating like community contracts that I'm not giving my kid a phone until they're 15 and you guys can't either. All right, well, we're in this together. So find families that have similar hearts for their kids that you do.
Mm-hmm.
And that you can't argue with that. Patrick's parents gave them a phone. It's time for me to have a phone. Well, actually, and so I think that's the lead argument that you could have. But maybe it starts with you questioning, like I said, your own relationship with technology. Yeah. And well, I navigate the world pretty well without a smartphone. And I think that it's absolutely sustainable long term. I just think that packing the most harmful content, material, and lifestyle available and giving it to an 8-year-old, it's a recipe for disaster. Yeah. And just because it's normal doesn't mean it's good. Right. Like, let's look through history and see all the normal things that weren't good. Like, we can stand up to the challenges ahead.
Well, and to say, yeah, maybe he'll feel odd, left out of his group, but a whole lot better than falling into a really dark space and being harmed.
Mhm.
And so which do you choose? Do you have the spine as a parent to say, no, we're going to delay this? And the spine as a parent to say, I'm not going to be on my phone after X period of X
Yep.
hour at night. Because from what I've heard talking to parents and to kids is that kids in many ways are bothered more by their parents being on phones and ignoring them than parents are with kids being on phones, because parents will say, well, it's occupying their time. I've got stuff to do. But a kid feels genuinely, genuinely invisible. We only have a couple minutes left. What's next for you, Harrison?
Well, I continue to work in the policy space, leading a team of survivors. And I think I've realized more and more lately over the past year that policy is powerful, but it is also not the path towards meaningful change right now, because policy is being outrun by the harms of today. What my lead goal is right now, especially with the research project and all of those brave individuals giving up their smartphones, is realizing that there are things we can do today to change the way that technology harms us and affects us, and different boundaries that we can put up.
So we are in charge. We feel we feel like we're not in charge and we're victims and this is it and life is horrible, but that isn't true. We're in charge. We're in charge of what we give our kids. We're in charge of how much time we spend on our phones and social media. Harrison, this has been amazing. I'm going to go. I want every single parent to listen to this podcast, because there's nothing like hearing a story firsthand from a survivor. I'm very sorry you went through that. And as painful as that was, but look how God is going. I'm going to use the horrible things that happened to you to help, hundreds of thousands, hopefully millions of parents and kids. And it will. I really believe it will, because parents want help. Harrison, you've worked with your community to really make an impact on people's lives. And there are things that you're doing with your group. Tell us what you're doing.
Yeah. So every single Friday night, we gather together as a community after a long work week or academic week, and we light a candle together. The sun starts to go down, and with that, our laptops close, our phones slip into our backpacks to have a rest for a while. Some of us just that night, but many of us that entire day after. Saturday is almost always a phone-free and screen-free day for us to connect meaningfully with what matters most in our life.
My guest has been Harrison Haynes. He's told us a riveting story about being groomed online via gaming, very innocent gaming. And I strongly encourage everybody to follow him and his research projects, and to just do what we can to support you and help you, particularly with your research project, Digitally Intentional. How can people get hold of you?
Yeah, that's really easy. If you have LinkedIn, you can just search my name, Harrison Haynes. There are going to be links available to get my phone number to connect meaningfully, or you can find me on my website at digitalyintentional.org.
Perfect. Harrison, thanks again. Best of luck to you in all the wonderful work you're doing. Hey parents, I'm Dr. Meg Meeker, and if you're ready for real solutions to your parenting problems from a pediatrician, join my Parenting Great Kids community today.
There's a reason so many parents trust Dr. Meg Meeker. Now her courses, parenting forum, and trusted answers are all in one place, the PGK Insider Community. Join free at meekerparenting.com.